So as you can see, we're back on our 1970 Chevelle. Now what the goal is today is we're gonna swap out our intake manifold and our valve covers at our Holley intake, our Holley valve covers, our MSD coils. But the reason why the engine bay is looking a mess is because we're also in the middle of doing our vintage air installation. So we wanted to wrap this up, the hard components on the engine, because we want to route the vintage air hoses so they aren't interfering with anything else. So that's why we had to take a break from the vintage air and finish up the under hood. So that's what we'll get started with. So we're gonna pull this intake off, which is already unbolted, and then we're gonna get our valve covers off, then I'll check right back in with you. So we took our valve covers off, and I just want you guys to be able to see this. So you see we got a trunnion upgrade in there. So we got those blue valve springs. We still got assembly lube on this motor because it hasn't been started. And if you look at that, it should give you a pretty good clue as to what it is. So like I said, we got our comp cams trunnion upgrade in there. Blue valve springs. So this should give you a really good clue as to what this is. So we're gonna start putting our Holley valve covers on and keep it moving. So we got our base for our valve covers on. I like the way those look already. So now next we have to mount our coils, and then we can put our covers on. One thing that I wasn't fully aware of, you see how this oil hole is back there? I thought both of them would be up front because I would like to fill on the passenger side as opposed to the driver's side, and that's just because the clearance is so tight back there. So you have to remove this upper cover that we will install to get to the oil fill hole. So I would rather remove it on the passenger side as opposed to the driver's side. That's just me, but it'll work. We can definitely take it off on the passenger side because there's not really gonna be anything over here. So it'll just probably be just a tad bit more inconvenient because we're filling it at the back as opposed to right here up in the front. So, and then also we really just need to see how much clearance there is between the booster and the breather, because we might not worry about it that much, because although this car has this booster in it for now, eventually we plan on changing this to a hydro boost setup. So that's why I'm not too worried about it. So we'll just see and keep on working. So here go our coils for our LS engine. So according to the instructions, they look like the late model coils, like the 5th gen. So it comes with 2 sets of spacers. So we're gonna use our 5th gen spacers. And let me see, where's the part number for this? So this is a part number for the coils that we are using. So that's that. And let's open this box. So here we go, these are our coils. We will mount them diagonally. And the Holley valve covers came with hardware and spacers to space them out. So we'll just follow our instructions, get them bolted on, and keep it moving. I think, I was wondering, should I put some anti-seize on these bolts? But I think this is probably aluminum. Yeah, the valve cover is aluminum, the bolt is steel, so I'll put probably a tad bit of anti-seize on the bolts, just so they don't gall up going in. Just a little bit, not a lot. A very small amount of anti-seize goes a long way. So let's do that. So we have our MSD coils mounted and they look beautiful. But we do have an issue. So you see we have our valve cover mounted right here on the passenger side. And I mean, that thing is really beautiful there. But the issue we're having right now is that we can clearly see that cover is not going to clear with our factory booster there. So we have two options. We have where we can change the booster, which we do have a hydro boost setup for this car, but that means changing a lot of other plumbing right now. And I would like to be able to drive as soon as possible. So we can run just with these cover without the upper covers on there. And that's what we're gonna do right now. We are not gonna pull our booster out right now to change to mount that cover. At least that's what I think today. So we're gonna move forward. We're gonna put our upper half of our coil covers back in the box, and then we will get our intake out and get that mounted and fitted so we can clear up everything here. So that's where we're at. Like I say, building a car, you always kind of run into some small, like little issues, but I really like the way that thing looks. So we might change our mind because I do have a hydro boost set up for this car in stock. So we might change our mind. But as of right now, we're gonna move toward getting some oil pressure. But that thing looks beautiful. So we're pretty much wrapped up on our Holley valve cover installation until we can get some clearance over there on our booster side. And then once we do get some clearance on our booster side, we can put our coil cover over here. So let's switch gears now to get the intake done. Yeah, so also for our coil cover, our valve cover change, we have a new Holley coil cover harness. So let's get this thing open. So it's that right there. Then we'll put that on once we get the intake situated. So this is our intake that we are using. This is the part number. And let us open the box. So I guess these are fuel rails. This is our hardware pack. The hardware pack and gaskets. And this is our intake itself. So let me try to get this out here. So there it is. It's a split. So it's Holley split high ram for cathedral port heads. So let's sit it on there and just see how it looks. So this is how our intake will look on there. Let's take a little bit of a back shot. And we come in a little bit closer. So that'll look like that. And then now let's get our throttle body. So this is our part number for our throttle body. So that's how it'll look. And that's what I like. I really like this look. Very, very pleased with it. This is what I always wanted to do. So we're gonna get this bolted down and put our gaskets in and get it torqued down and then put our fuel rails on and just keep it moving. So we are about to start assembling our fuel rails for our intake, and this is the part number that we're using for fuel injectors. So we got to plop these inside these rails so we can bolt our intake on. So we finally got our intake all bolted down on here. We have our fuel rails in. The intake is all torqued down. So this is complete. Now next, we are going to run our fuel lines, and then we will put our fittings in and plumb this intake. And then once the intake is plumbed, then you can check out another video where we will show us putting in our hydro boost so we can get our valve covers to clear on both sides. Well, our cover for our valve covers, the beauty cover. And then we should have a video coming up where we're wrapping up the vintage air installation. And then also another video where you'll see a really quick overview of the RTX Dakota Digital Dash and the ShiftWorks shifter to control our 4L60E transmission. And in that video, it will be the ratcheting ShiftWorks shifter, not just the standard one. So keep watching, and then once we get all that done, we can get the wiring, the radiator in here, and we can keep it moving. Thanks, you guys. White One Auto, out.